Why were floppy disk drives so essential for 80s home computers? Imagine a time when saving your work or playing a game meant physically inserting a tiny disk into your computer. That's right, floppy disk drives were the backbone of 80s home computers. They weren't just accessories. They were the main way people stored and shared digital information. Floppy disks are thin, flexible magnetic disks sealed in a square or rectangular case. The most common sizes in the 80s were the 5 1/4 inch and the 3 1/2 inch disks. The 5 1/4 inch disks looked like small, floppy records, while the 3 1/2 inch disks were sturdier with a metal sliding cover. Before floppy disks, most home computers used cassette tapes for storage. Tapes were slow, unreliable, and couldn't easily jump to different parts of a program. Floppy disks changed all that. They allowed quick access to data, so you could load a game or save a document in seconds instead of minutes. This speed made computers much more practical and fun to use. You could start working on a project, save it, and come back later without waiting forever. Floppy disks also made sharing software simple. When you bought a new game or program, it often came on a set of floppy disks. You could easily swap disks with friends or trade games at school. Back then, floppy disks were like the social media of the digital world. They let you move files from one computer to another with ease. This was especially important because home computers didn't have internet connections like today. Floppy disks were the main way to transfer data. The physical design of floppy disks added to their charm. The 5 1/4 inch disks had a floppy, almost paper-like case, while the 3 1/2 inch disks were more durable with a protective metal shutter. When you inserted a disk, you'd hear the drive whir to life, and the blinking light was a familiar sight. These sounds and sights became part of the 80s computer experience. Capacity was limited by today's standards. The 5 1/4 inch disks stored about 100 to 360 kilobytes. The smaller 3 1/2 inch disks could hold up to 1.4 megabytes. For the time, that was enough for most games, word processors, and early graphics. Programmers learned to be creative with limited space, squeezing impressive features into tiny files. Floppy disk drives were also affordable compared to hard drives, which were expensive and rare in homes. For most families, a floppy drive was the only way to save work, install software, or backup files. They made home computers useful, fun, and social machines. Without floppy disks, the 80s computer scene would have been very different. They're a nostalgic symbol of a time when computers were tangible, personal, and full of character. Floppy disks weren't just storage devices. They were part of the culture, the rituals, and the shared experiences of early digital life.